Welcome everybody to our webinar today. We've got the gang together finally. So thank you for your patience. My name is Paul Pierce. I'm the president of Great Demo, and I've got several just amazing individuals that I'd love to introduce you to. Hey, if you came to look at basically maximizing your sales impact, unleashing the automated value capabilities and articulation with ValueCore and Great Demo, you are at the right place. I just wanted to welcome you to this particular webinar. And I'll be honest, and just I'm so excited about today. I gotta tell you, before I introduce the authors, it was it was a while ago, a friend of mine, a long-term friend named Matt Wilkinson said, Paul, you've got to meet Mike and you got to check out ValueCore. I think it's phenomenal what they're doing, but I think it'd be even more phenomenal with what they can do with Great Demo. So Mike and I have been friends for well over a year, and we've got some real exciting things to share with you today. Before we do though, let me introduce a few of the authors pardon me, our panel, our host, our experts. First, let me start, if I can, with Peter Cohan. If you're a Great Demo practitioner, you're probably well aware of who Peter Cohan is. He's the author of the Great Demo and Doing Discovery, a pioneer in pre-sales, if you will. Hey, Peter, I'd like to turn it over to you and allow you to introduce yourself as well. I'm just so excited that you're here with us.
Well, that's a surprise too. So I was born in a log cabin in 1864. Wait, that's the wrong story. No, there's really not much to introduce. Those who know me rather. No explanation is necessary. Those who don't, no introduction will suffice.
Well, there you go. Well, then next, hey, let me introduce you to Mike, Mike Genstil, because Mike's founded ValueCore after a notable career of leading companies like Adobe Software and New Relic. He's established a value selling function. He's especially recognized for his role in leading Cloudflare's global partnership with IBM and for advising top executives at firms such as SAP, Cisco, Dell EMC, and crafting compelling value stories. Co-founded ValueCore. So with an MBA from Harvard and a computer science degree from Stanford, Mike certainly got me beat in the education department, but combines just an amazing deep industry knowledge and strategic acumen. I mean, he's an absolute definitive voice in articulating business value. So he's definitely someone I wanted to make sure we had a chance to introduce you to, and even more importantly, some of the really cool tech that he's had for helping folks better, if you will, quantify value and communicate value to organizations. So Mike, I'll turn it over to you. Anything to add to that introduction? And thanks for joining today.
Thanks, Paul. It's great to be here. And yeah, I've had a career working at some notable technology companies and have typically been in the sales and go-to-market function. And I have a passion for sales and a passion for math and a passion for making it easy for sellers and buyers to get together and agree on value. It's a hard problem. It's a problem that comes up in many, many pricing discussions and sales processes. So we built a platform to make this easy for everybody. So excited to walk you all through it.
Very good. Glad to hear that. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Hey, you know, it's interesting. So I've been a Great Demo practitioner since 2004. It's when I first met Peter. I've been a facilitator and coach for over 10 years on Great Demo. I've taught thousands of students, I guess, if you will, on the Great Demo methodology, on doing discovery and how to tremendously focus on value, increase the engagement of demonstrations. There's always this one piece, the piece that everybody struggles with. And it isn't that they don't know they need to actually articulate and communicate value with their clients and understand the customer's perception of value. It's just that it's hard to get. And so in class, we all say, yes, we absolutely need to do this. The role of pre-sales and in sales is to articulate the value your solution presents and provides to your customers. Yet we find that's a very, very challenging thing to do. So when Matt introduced me to Mike, and they showed me this capability that allowed us to articulate value with a client very intelligently, and then check this out, with the click of a button, create situation slides, illustrations, and very deeply articulate value, my mind was blown. I said, I think we just found the resolution to one of the biggest challenges I've seen in the industry for many, many, many years. So if you're someone who, first of all, believes in value, do this for me in your chat dialog box. Give me a big thumbs up or a heck yeah, because today that's what we're going to dive in and talk about. Hey, real quick, I know there's a couple folks on the phone that may not be familiar with Great Demo. If it's okay with you, I'd like to share one or two slides with you. Just real quick overview of what Great Demo is. I'm going to share exactly what Mike's solution created. And if you're a Great Demo practitioner, you're going to love this. And then I'm going to turn things over to Mike. How does that sound? All right. We got a couple folks saying, heck yeah, I love that. Yeah, wonderful. Good feedback from the audience here. Okay, let me jump into the next slide. Let me tell you real quick about Great Demo and doing discovery. And Peter, I don't know if I can do this justice since you're the author, but I'll certainly try. See, Peter wrote a couple methodologies over the last numerous years. And the idea is that demos don't necessarily have to be, well, boring.
Painful.
And we think about it from a traditional perspective, right? Of the traditional demonstration, it's the diatribe, the harbor tour that just goes through. And the reality is, a lot of times pre-sales and sales teams and customer-facing teams are so pushed for time, you just end up doing the exact same demo over and over again. And the results, not always the best. Leads to no decision rates and failed demonstrations and deals that just go nowhere. And so the concept that Peter has articulated is, first of all, it didn't have to be that way. There's good news that you can engage your customer and actually, more importantly, learn everything you can about them based upon a methodology called doing discovery. And that includes being able to articulate what the customer needs very uniquely and then giving it to them. It's to take your traditional demonstration, if you will, and turn it upside down. Oops, I dropped my clicker there. But taking your traditional demonstration and turning it upside down. Pardon me as I pick up my pointer. So taking your demonstration, turning it upside down, and doing, as we like to say, the last thing first, bringing the end result, the aha moment, right to the beginning. That's where we are going to articulate the value and ensure that the customer sees that they can receive value from the software solution that you'd be presenting. And doing so means that the demonstration turns into a conversation. And it addresses the unique situations that your client has. It puts the focus on them and then allows you to take your demonstration to a specific level of depth and interest that your client has. So a lot of times a traditional demo just is a diatribe, but now we've got an engaging technique that allows you to actually learn what the customer needs, articulate that very rapidly, so you can have dramatic success of your software demonstration, increasing engagement, but more importantly, the retention of the value your solution creates. Well,
Hey, Paul, before you go on, I have to share this. When people outside of the software industry ask me what I do, I tell them, I teach people to get to the point.
Hey, are you implying? No, I'm moving. I'm joking. All right, here's the Great Demo methodology, and then I'm going to turn things over, and I want to show you the end result, the brilliance that Mike's solution is going to provide. But essentially, here's the Great Demo methodology. If you're not aware, if you are, it's a quick review. It essentially takes and reviews the situation, the communication that you've had with your customer in the perfect world when you've had discovery. If you haven't, it's also a methodology to tell a story, the most perfect story in the most perfect format. But when we review the situation, it's a concise overview of what that customer said they needed in discovery, including the value. And then in the methodology, we present the end result right away. We do that by using an illustration. It's a crisp, concise illustration of the end result. And this is a very important point when it comes to what we're talking about today. It's one of the first times we get to ensure that the customer can see the value that they're going to receive in the software demonstration. It's a little bit of an agreement. And if they agree that we're on the right track, that this is going to help, boom, we jump right into the demo. And I love this. The do it pathway here, I like to say, or Peter would even say, right, it's the fewest number of clicks. But I'm going to tell you this, if you've done it correctly and you've been doing demos traditionally for years, it's probably going to be the most awkward part of your demo because you're used to talking forever, but this is a really crisp 1 to 2 minute overview of your solution. It's the anti-complexity part of your demo. Then we've done it correctly, your customer is going to be so excited. They're going to pepper you with questions, and we enter the next phase I call, and Peter would call, peeling back the layers. See, this is where we turn the demo into a conversation. We answer questions that the customer asks, and we ask intelligent questions about capabilities that might be important to them, transitioning their vision. In a great demo, you might stay in this loop for just a while, until we've concluded the customer doesn't need it anymore. They get it and they love it. They can see the value. Of course, then when we go into Q&A and summarize for the day with what we showed them and the value. And that essentially, folks, is the great demo methodology. Peter, what did I miss? What would you add to this methodology you think folks might need to know?
Absolutely nothing. This is perfect.
All right, so you're making my job easy. Hey, but I got to tell you.
No, I'll take that back. I will add one thing, and that is, think about, for the audience, think about when you're presenting to executives versus middle managers versus staff members versus system administrators. How much information would an exec need? And the answer is, it's probably just these first two check marks: reviewing a situation and presenting an illustration. How much information would a middle manager need? You're probably going to go one level deeper, a do-it pathway or two. How much information would the staff members need? Well, they want to see the full workflow. This is where you're peeling back the layers. And if you're demoing to a system administrator and you have executives in the room, there's a big disconnect there. So bear that in mind.
Absolutely. It's a great contribution. Thank you. Well, in typical great fashion or great demo fashion, first of all, in your chat dialog box, hit this up for me if you will. Let me know if you are familiar with the great demo methodology, if you had a chance to use it, if you've read the book, and so forth. I see some folks presenting some things. Good. All right. Hey, check this out, because in typical great demo fashion, why don't I just show you the end result? What if I should show you a picture of the illustration in the situation slide, but better yet, what if I told you Mike generated it for me with a click of a button? Check it out. Here, of course, the next slide is a great demo situation slide. It has all the key components that are needed to ensure we understand our customer ready to do a demo. Things like the critical business issue, the problems that the customer has articulated, the specific capabilities and features that they need, as well as both the value and the timing. See, the value is one, as I mentioned, is one of the most challenging things to learn and get from a customer. Requires a skill set, requires the right questions, or perhaps the right technology. But what if you could take your traditional situation slide, I guess, and automate it? What if you could actually take this value proposition to a degree that is far more personalized based upon your customer's input? And what if that one same click of a button, not only would you generate a situation slide, but deeper levels of value quantification and articulation? This slide was generated from ValueCore. It complements everything that we've done in the great demo, but takes the value articulation to a greater level. This is the generation of your customer's business case. And you get a chance to lead them using technology. Of course, you could do something like add an illustration and a picture to the end result. That's all part of the deliverable you might have for your customer. But I wanted to share you that concept. Click of a button, automatic situation slide, value articulation, illustration communication, so that you have the intelligence, the data, and the documentation to follow up with your customer immediately, to refresh the information you shared in your demo, to rearticulate the value, and provide them what they need based upon their input and their information to successfully acquire your software. All right, Peter,
I'm
Mike,
excited.
we get into this conversation here real quick. What do you think? What would you add? And then I want to turn things over to Mike real quick.
I have nothing to add. I want to see the demo.
Great.
Well,
All
with
right,
that,
thanks.
ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce you once again to Mike. Mike is going to share his screen right here. But as I mentioned, Mike's the founder of ValueCore. He's created this technology with us. And Mike, if you would, I'd love to just get a quick overview of ValueCore, who you are. How would you articulate what you do? And I'd love to see you actually just walk us through the example of how you would generate what I just showed our audience today.
Sure. Thanks, Paul. So
You're welcome.
ValueCore is a software as a service platform. We've been building it for more than a decade. We have been influenced and guided and partnering with some of the best and brightest sales and marketing technology companies to build out this platform. The intent of the platform is to make it easy to quantify and qualify value at each step in the customer journey. And that can mean a whole variety of things. It can mean a maturity assessment tool. It can mean a qualitative discovery guide. It can mean quantifying for a customer their opportunity cost of their current environment, which is kind of what Paul was alluding to there around revenue leak. As we go through a sales journey, it allows you to put a full ROI story together or TCO story together if you want to help a buyer or a CFO understand a 1-year savings or a payback period or a 5-year TCO. Basically, the concept and what's really differentiated with our platform versus anything else you've probably seen is we can take any set of calculations that might live in a spreadsheet and any set of PowerPoint or visuals and any type of qualitative information and import it into our platform and make a visual workflow that can be a 1-page form. It can be a 12 section form. And then all of the data synchronizes with your CRM and your marketing automation system. And it also allows you to modify and maintain these things yourself over time. So not too different from other publishing platforms that allow you to publish landing pages or publish these, send out emails like Outreach or SalesLoft. We don't compete with those. Our application can tie into those and synchronize. We allow you to publish your value story and you have full control. Customer success is another use case. So that's the genesis of the platform. And the theory, the big idea is that value practitioners, solution engineers, solution architects, heads of BDR teams, heads of customer success often have good opinions and good ideas of what they want to do. They just want to be able to automate it. And that's what we're enabling here. We also have templates that we can turn on if people don't quite know how they want to do it. And we can talk about those templates. But this automation and full control is the big idea. Now, I'm going to move into the specific demo right after this slide and kind of show how Paul created that deck using our application. But I think it's just important, again, for folks who are either new to value quantification or experienced, just a refresher, there's different ways of thinking about value depending on where you are in the customer journey. Would love to see people chat in the chat bot or the chat window, kind of where they are in their journey of value selling. Are you doing it today? Do you have value models? Are you thinking about it, et cetera? Because we can be a little bit more specific depending on where you are in your journey. But if you're early, if you're trying to get a customer to consider changing the status quo, the first thing you need to do is help them understand what's the cost of their existing environment before you even talk about how your solution can help. Can you get intellectual alignment around what are they spending money on, what are they spending people on, and what are they missing by not having a best-in-class solution for whatever category it is? Then once you've done that, you need to help them understand what's the benefit of change, what's that worth to them on a monthly, quarterly, annual basis. And that helps them establish if they don't change, it's costing them X per month or per quarter not to change. Then if it becomes a true buying decision, the customer can always choose to build something internally. They can buy your solution or they can buy a competitive solution. And they are often creating these internal documents and sharing that with their CFO and internal teams, their side-by-sides. Wouldn't it be nice if you gave them a side-by-side that helped them understand why you should win? And then for renewal scenarios, CFOs have gotten pretty tough in the last 18 months with rising interest rates, and they're not kind of giving business owners the ability to just write that same check next year as they did last year. So we need to show ROI and value at that time. And that's a different model often because we now have real data to look at that we have to use to justify the value at the renewal time. So we support all of these use cases, and what it ends up looking like is going to be quite different depending on what you're selling and what the rest of your sales and marketing materials look like. Because the other big concept that we have is we want to leverage the best of your images, assets, videos, and bring them all together to life in a unique, engaging platform. Okay, so just coming back, I'm going to refresh. I'm going to go back to the PowerPoint and show one or two quick slides to then put the context around what I'm about to show you here. So what Paul showed you was these pictures here. So we said this is a ValueCore created situation slide. So I'm now going to walk through how this slide got automatically generated, and this slide got generated, and this slide got generated in our platform. So now so let's say I'm a sales rep for a platform that helps sales and marketing organizations generate more revenue. Okay, so it's called a unified revenue platform. I'm selling,
you're in ValueCore now.
That's correct. So I'm a sales rep for this unified revenue platform. I'm logged into ValueCore as a sales rep, and I'm filling it out. So these are the questions that Great Demo prescribes, which are, who's the job title? What industry am I selling into? So I'm selling to a VP of Sales Ops at a financial services platform. And, I had an early discussion with this individual, and they talked about their inability to optimize the sales pipeline management and increase revenue. They also are mentioning today that they have a hard time hiring best-in-class team and tech stack to optimize. So that's another thing that they're trying to solve. Problems that are articulated are visibility challenges, inconsistent sales processes, et cetera. These are the types of capabilities that they're interested in: real-time sales analytics, automated deal tracking, collaborative workspace, et cetera. Again, this is editable. Maybe they're also interested in, a learning system, for example. Okay, so improving win rates by 15%. Quarterly sales strategy meeting in January is coming up. Prep in December, let's just say. Okay, so I go to continue. Now, as Paul was showing those images, these are images from the platform. So I can upload additional images. So now I'm giving the customer a taste of what their future is going to look like and how they're going to have more visibility when they.
In the Great Demo perspective, this is the illustration. If you've captured the end result and you want to follow up after the sale and provide them with value articulation, including situation slide and illustration, this is where you add the image. You can do that. It pulls it in the package for you automatically. Cool. So that's where this image came.
Paul. And you'll notice here on the left-hand side, I'm able to kind of navigate around and choose the right place based on where the conversation is going and what they care about. But importantly, before I complete this call with the customer, I want to talk about the cost of their existing environment, how much revenue they're leaking is the way we think about our customer's problem in a way that they can socialize that internally with senior management, the CFO. We want to equip our advocate to be able to go to their internal team and say, listen, we've got a revenue leak problem, and it's across these buckets. We have an opportunity to win more deals, prevent slip deals, improve sales productivity, et cetera. So all of the calculations here are based, the math that you're seeing on the right-hand side, this is dynamic, is based on a spreadsheet that was created and is now imported into our system that allows this dynamic discussion between the seller, me, and the buyer that I'm talking to. And so I may have some data that I use to pre-populate this based on what's in my CRM from prior conversations I've had, what I've been able to ascertain from LinkedIn. Perhaps AI has populated some of that information in the CRM, but now I'm able to truly confirm it with the customer live. Win rate is a great example of something where the customer might have told me last week they thought their win rate was 25%. Now they've gone back and looked at the actual data, and as of the last quarter, it's actually 22%. So that implies a different amount of revenue leakage. So now I've actually got a full story that says, we believe, my advocate and I, that we've got a revenue leak problem across these categories that's worth about $5.6 million. I've got some assumptions here as well that are baked into this. I could choose to expose these or not, depending on where I am in the conversation and how much detail the customer wants to get into. So once I've gone through this, I save it. Now, I could have started, typically we'll link this to the CRM. So everything here will be linked to a specific field in the CRM account or opportunity or lead record. This is a big differentiator because now I'm populating the CRM with real data. I can download this and get that deck. So that's how Paul kicked this off. What's the deck that I'm going to get? So now we're dynamic. Yeah, exactly. This is the drum roll. We tend to have at least 1 out of 10 people fall out of their seat when they see this. So we'll see what happens today.
Yeah. We should have had video on for everybody in the audience right here. This is what knocked my socks off, folks, is complete articulation of value, a complete creation of situation slides in the PowerPoint deck. And of course, this is all configurable to your needs and desires and how you want the output to look very easily, as a matter of fact. But here it is.
Nice. I got to
So
get
you'll
me
notice
some of this.
Yeah. So you'll notice I typed in a couple of parentheticals during the call: hiring best-in-class team and tech stack, January prep in December. So this is live. No hocus pocus here. This is the image. Some of these images that were in the tool that were highlighted. And then we have, this is my money shot. So remember, it did say 5.6 million. So this was just dynamically created and got to 5.6 million. All of these are dynamically created. And this is what I personally love about my job. Our customers have beautiful, beautiful slides. We don't always invent all of the slides, right? We do teach customers some best practices. For example, the waterfall chart is a best practice. It tends to resonate. This happens to be a native PowerPoint chart that we are just populating. That's a unique benefit of our platform. You can choose any of the PowerPoint charts, and there's lots of them, and you can just populate it, and it's beautiful. But how they've laid this out here, this is very smart. It's really good. It's easy to understand, and it's slick. Other customers of ours do it quite differently, and that's beautiful and compelling as well. So then this allows my advocate now to take this story internally and literally walk through these slides in a 10 to 15 minute internal meeting about how what problem I've got and how I can improve it. And of course, this is my follow-up slide. This is a dynamic great demo slide. So then the customer is likely to say, wow, that's interesting. That's pretty provocative. 5.6 million. That's a big number. I'm not sure I'm super comfortable with that before I take that to my CFO. I'll say, great. Well, listen, I'd like to give you a link that you can go and play with these assumptions and really get comfortable with them. But I know this is a competitive deal, so I'm going to allow you to play with this through May 10th. And I could choose my date. I could put an access code. And then I'm going to give a link here to Paul. And Paul, if he wants to open it up as my customer and make changes, he can, and I can see what he has changed.
Mike, I love that. It's always interesting because I find that a lot of our customers don't trust salespeople. Sorry to tell you that. Gartner actually reported that the new generation and the younger generation, I guess, if you will, trust salespeople less than previous generations. And so it's always interesting because in Great Demo, we talk about you language, not using we, because we don't have to own the solution, but when we can turn the conversation to you and allow the customer to actually articulate the value and identify the numbers, then all of a sudden it's believable because you are the most trustworthy person you most likely know. And so what I love about what you just showed, Mike, is a couple things. One is an ability, to capture any information you have. What you're seeing on screens like this, though, is a pre-configured articulation of value so that you can lead the conversation with your customers. You can standardize this as one example of a standardization or process that you might use within your organization. So you're always capturing the right information. But more importantly, with that share link, holy cow, the customer gets to experience it, utilize it. And once again, at the click of a button, whether you like the PowerPoint or you want to change it, doesn't matter. It captures all this information, presents it, so you've got an immediate deliverable to your customer, which is value, the situation slide, the business case, the pictures and the illustrations to dramatically increase the retention of your software demonstration that's been focused on value. Knocked my socks off when I saw this for the first time. And this is the reason I asked Mike to join us for the webinar today to share this with you. Hey, in your chat dialog box, if you have any questions, comments, thoughts, and Peter, it looks like you've got something to add as well. Just wanted to make sure that
I have two things I wanted to share. The first is a story from 162 years ago, and that is, it's almost that long. I was a young product manager. Things were getting more and more complex, and we needed a tool to really help support our processes and our workflows. And identified a tool and decided that was what I wanted. And I went to the CFO and said, John, we'll call him John because that is his name. I need this tool. And he said, how much is it? I said, it's $50,000. He said, great, you can't have it. And I said, what? Why? He said, because you haven't provided a business case. Mike's comment earlier about interest rates was totally apropos, because John, the CFO, said to me, Kohan, you want $50,000. Right now, I can put $50,000 into a T-bill and I'll generate, Diane, how much do I generate these days from a T-bill? 5%. My wife,
right.
back to the room here,
Right.
who knows all the money. I could generate 5%. He says, John says, what will you do? What will you generate? What will the gains be for us as an organization if I give you the $50,000? So after beating me up fiercely, he actually then helped me go through the process of how do you put this kind of thing together. And it was a terrific object lesson. So that's story number one. Thought number two, with respect to the believability of value information, we could summarize that there are 4 different parties that might be involved. There's the prospect themselves. There are other similar prospects. There are, let's say, Gartner and related sort of industry information. And then there's the vendor. Of these 4 folks, who is least believable? Paul and Mike, who is least believable?
Sales folks.
The vendor, absolutely. The vendor's numbers are just, they're not believable, generally speaking. Okay, so that's the bottom of the list. We can drop that off. Who's next in terms of believability, or the next one down? And it would be, I'll just give the answer, industry averages, so Gartner. And they're okay, but they're just broad average swaths. Who's next? Other similar customers, which is for those who are familiar with vision generation demos, those are the numbers we recommend using for vision generation demos. But the numbers that are most believable and gets this thumbs up are whose?
The customer.
The prospects, yeah, the prospects' own numbers. What I really love about this process is it helps to address a fear, a challenge that individual sales and pre-sales people typically have, which is they articulate by saying, I'm uncomfortable asking value questions. I don't know how to do it. I don't know where to start. And so I don't do it, which leaves a huge gap in the buying and sales processes. Here, what you're seeing on the screen provides you with the prompts that enable you as a pre-sales or salesperson to collaboratively work with your prospect with their numbers, so the numbers are their information, to populate this, to generate the end result. This is a thing of beauty. So those are my 2 thoughts.
And there's one more thing to highlight too, which around the credibility. Even if you start with the customer's numbers on their current state. So let's say you actually do get the customer and they say my pipeline is $80 million and my deal size is $80,000. So there's still part 2, which is to get their intellectual alignment that these benefits are achievable or are realistic. And we are trying to equip the seller to have an honest dialogue with the buyer. And if the buyer says, listen, I don't see your solution helping me expand existing customers, I just don't see it. Great, we can zero this out. We want to equip the seller to zero out any of the categories, any of the assumptions, and make changes and equip the buyer to do it. And that's a really big thing, because so many times these models are not credible because like, let's say this is a $5.6 million revenue leak number on, if the customer's actual revenue was $15 million, let's just say, this wouldn't be credible. So this would make sense if they had $100 or $200 million in revenue. And so we have to allow this tool to morph and be usable by both parties on the assumption, on the benefit side.
Very good.
All right.
Okay, cool. So folks, would anybody want to see another example from a different industry, like customer ticketing, just to see one more set of value drivers and what that could look like? Would that be of any interest?
Actually, Mike, I wonder, because I didn't even mention this at the beginning, all these pages are configurable. Everyone's going to have a unique value articulation process at their organizations. And I think that one of the things to really contribute here is this is an example. And one of the best things I think folks could do, Mike, is take you up on an offer I'd love to share with folks real quick. If
Sure.
can, as a matter of fact, we've got a slide. I should have mentioned it that, hey, if you stay tuned, folks, we got a pretty cool offer for you because these technologies and these capabilities, right at your fingertips. Mike, would you mind pulling up the slide deck and go into one additional slide I wanted to share with folks before
Sure. Yep.
before we conclude?
Yep.
There we go. It's the ValueCore webinar offer. I should have mentioned this right up front. Hey, because one of the things that I think is very important is while we showed an example, the best example is going to be your example. And so when we set up this webinar, I asked Mike, I said, is there anything that you'd be willing to provide a great demo customer or a ValueCore prospect so they could see this firsthand? Because obviously seeing is believing. And I love what you said, Mike. I created this slide. You said, I bet. Yeah. How about I give anyone who wants it a complimentary 1-hour review of an existing ROI or TCO materials and calculators, standardized and personalized to them. You said you'd even create a complimentary web-based prototype of how customers are doing their ROI calculations today. You'll proceduralize that, you'll process it, put it in an interface, which is an amazing gift. That you would even provide them a trial or limited use of the system so they could play with it. And then if they don't have those types of things, you'd even work with them to showcase industry-specific ROI spreadsheets that can help them. And so I just, first of all, wanted to thank you. I think this is a tremendous offer. So anyone who's interested in learning more about ValueCore, if you're a great demo customer and you're creating manually situation slides and struggling to better quantify and articulate value with your customers, hopefully you see how exciting this is, or as much as I did. And there's one more slide, Mike, because if people want to take you up on this offer, there's a perfect way to get. And tell them, Mike, what's the best way for them to reach out to you and connect with you personally and to take you up on this offer of trying the system for free, but more importantly, get an hour with one of the world's leading experts in value quantification? You. How do they do it?
Sure.
What's the best way to reach you?
Yep. Sorry about that. Option A is go ahead and send a note to ValueCore.ai and mention this webinar, and we'll set up a session, and I'll be happy to drive that session and work on your model with you. You also can email me directly. I'm at mgenstil@ValueCore.ai. And please feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn as well. So does any of you have ROI sheets or TCO sheets that you're working with? It'd be helpful to, if anybody wants to mention it, we could look at it briefly or talk about it, or just ping us separately.
And Paul, how can they get in contact with you?
Absolutely. Hey, my digits are on the screen as well. You can always go to greatdemo.com to connect with us about anything that's important to you. You can reach us at info@greatdemo.com or reach out to me, Paul Pierce, which is ppierce@greatdemo.com. And I'd love to share more with you about Great Demo, doing discovery, value articulation, and how to capture that, whether manually or in an automated proceduralized fashion using something like ValueCore. Well, folks, thank you so much for joining our webinar today. Mike and Peter, thank you as well for joining us today, sharing your insights and anecdotes and stories. I hope everyone saw the value that this creates, pun intended, and that you're as thrilled with this as I was when I saw it for the very first time, when my mouth dropped and said, oh my goodness, I spend so much time trying to get this articulated with my customers. And now there's an automated way to do it more intelligently, but more importantly, adding tremendous results and success to your sales campaigns so that you can sell on value, not your traditional features and functions. Hey, Peter and Mike, any concluding thoughts that you would like to add before we conclude the session today?
I would just say that your value selling journey is going to be long and circuitous, and it will evolve, but it's important to get on it. And the good news is, just like anything, you're learning all the time and you're getting better at it as products change, your offers change, your pricing model changes, your competitors' pricing changes. You're always on this journey. Your buyer's thinking about value. Hop on the train. It's not too hard to get on and dip your toe in. Look forward to talking with you further.
This is taking it to the next level. And as we always say, Great Demo, let's do it better, ladies and gentlemen. With that, Peter, last thought.
I have no further thoughts. I think this is perfect.